Let's talk about island reversal patterns. We're seeing one right now in the SPY. A lot of people are talking about it. I've been talking about it. I did a tweet about it before the gap up that happened and said, if we get a gap up here, it's an island reversal. And those are pretty significant patterns. So, first of all, what is an island reversal? The idea is that if you have a gap in one direction on price, and then a period of time, generally not longer than a couple weeks, of action, and then you have a gap in the other direction, that sometimes can lead to pretty significant moves. Because what the idea is, and I think one example, good example here is Tesla right here. This is kind of one of the most famous ones I've seen right now, is that you have this gap down that happened on bad news, the robo-taxi event that really wasn't that interesting, and then it consolidated sideways for a period of time, and then it gapped up. So if we just break down with all technical patterns, you have to break down the psychology of it to see if it makes sense to you. It's not just a trade it because this pattern is happening. Uh, but what's happening here? So what's happening is that you have a gap down, you have bad news that happens, you have traders and investors that trade off of that news and are selling their Tesla stock, and they're shorting their Tesla stock into this bad news that caused this gap. Then, if you have a gap completely in the other direction, that, by the way, has to negate that first gap, at least mostly, right here, then you have all of those people that are wrong. Everyone who sold their Tesla because they thought it was a bad idea, they are wrong, and they might have to buy back at a higher price. And then you also have the people who have shorted. Those people have to get out as well, where you have this immediate kind of shock in their face that they're wrong, and they're wrong right away, and they're wrong because of a gap, which makes it even harder because, if they just said, oh, I'm going to short here because of this bad news and I'll put my stop up here, well, that doesn't matter because it's gapped, right? So you're more aggressive in the buying, and often that creates a little bit up moves, right? In this case, you can see here's another island reversal right here, but to the downside, where we had this gap up and with some sideways movement, we had a gap down, and that created a little bit of a down thrust. So why am I bringing it up today? Because, well, what we do on Thursdays, I try to bring up a technical setup and try to teach about a technical setup that I'm seeing in the markets. Try that again, SPY. So we're seeing that exact pattern right here in the S&P 500. We have a gap down that happened right here, and then 4 days of sideways movement, and then a gap back up. So that's kind of an island down, an island reversal. So this is your island, right? You can see why it's named what it's named. There's nothing touching it on either side, and then a gap up. So everybody who was shorting or buying protection or doing whatever that caused this gap down into the election, when the election came out, it was very decisive. I think this would have happened regardless if it was decisive in either direction. But the fact that, like I've been talking about a lot with the seasonality, as soon as the information is known, then the market is free to do whatever it wants. In this case, in a bull market, the market's free to go up. So gapped up, everybody who sold here has to rebuy, and everybody who shorted here has to cover. And often that creates a little bit of a move up. So again, I'm getting more and more of a bullish stance. We have FOMC today, so another day of kind of watching, but I'm just watching these highs right here. If we pull back over the next few days into those highs and that acts as support, then great. That's kind of what we want to see. If we just blast off from here, that's also great. The only thing that I'd be worried about is kind of an immediate fade back down to this island. That's roughly how we look to play these island reversals. How we, as in the technical analysis books, right? You're playing this as if it was a gap, and your ultimate stop is if it gets back here, because then these people are right again, and we don't want these people to be right. We want them to be wrong, and we want their wrongness to fuel the upside move. So that's what I'm looking at right now in the SPY. That's an interesting pattern. It's a rare pattern, but I think it's something you definitely have to take notice when it happens. So let me know what you think. I always appreciate the comments. I like doing these shorter daily videos as opposed to trying to plan something big. If you like them too, again, please share them around. If you want more content, you want algorithmic stock picks sent to your inbox every single week, go to StatsEdgeTrading.com, sign up for StatsEdge Pro there. A lot of people are signing up. The outreach has been great. People are loving it. So come give it a shot as well. And I will talk to you guys in the next video.